Barry Melrose, ESPN NHL, joins us now as the Flyers' Ron Hakstol makes a move. What is the message here, Barry, that Ron Hakstol sent to his team going out and getting a veteran goalie?
The message to the players in the dressing room is that I'm behind you and we're going to try and win this thing. I thought it was a great move. It was really quickly done, and it sent the message. Mrazek has been a guy that's played some really good games in the NHL and has been hot for long periods of time, and really for a couple picks, if it gets him in the playoffs and gives you a chance to win the Stanley Cup, anyone would give up a couple picks for that, right? So I think Hakstol made a great move. I think he sent a great message to the club, took every excuse away from the club. And, this team right now is playing as good as any team in the NHL. So I thought Ronnie Hakstol should be, getting a good slap in the back, a good pat in the back for what he just did for the Flyers.
Yeah, those numbers are almost eye-popping, aren't they, Barry, that they've been at 22-8-3 since that 10-game losing streak in early December?
And it's how they're doing it. It's not flukes. It's not hot goaltending. It's the whole team. You mentioned Giroux having an unbelievable year, Couturier having an unbelievable year. The Gostisbehere on defense, great year. All the young players are playing well. You look at that Eastern Conference, Pittsburgh's playing really well right now. Obviously, Tampa Bay's been the hottest team. Boston's on a good roll right now. But if you make the playoffs in the East, you have a chance of winning it. So, like I said, it was a real good move by the Philadelphia Flyers. And you're right, it's not the first time we've talked about goaltending issues, but it's usually because a goaltending has been bad. A good goaltender is coming into a really good team right now. That's a good combination.
Since we are talking goaltending, tell us a little bit more about Petr Mrazek because he's about the same age as Alex Lyon, but he has more NHL experience. And do you think, Barry Melrose, that his numbers, at least his recent numbers, were skewed because Detroit kind of went in the you-know-what? They didn't make the playoffs last year for the first time in forever. And did his numbers then suffer as a result?
Well, they haven't been a great team for a long time. They made the playoffs all those years, 25 straight years, which was phenomenal. He was part of a few of those teams that made the playoffs, but they have not been good of late. They've given up a lot of goals against of late. It's tough playing goal for the Detroit Red Wings the last couple of years, and I think totally when Mrazek gets with the Flyers, if they can continue to play the way they are, they're not giving up outnumbered chances. They're not giving up shots from the slot. You have to earn every chance you get from the Flyers. So I think Mrazek will be a rejuvenated goaltender with a lot of talent going to a team that has a chance of winning, something he never envisioned as a member of the Detroit Red Wings.
Right. Without knowing too much about the injuries to Elliott or Neuvy, Michael Neuvert, Barry, do you think Mrazek is the guy then they're going to ride through the whole postseason, or do you think they view Elliott or Neuvert as actually able to come back later if they do make a deep postseason run?
Well, you don't worry about that. You're just taking it right now. They won't be back. That's why they made this deal. If they thought he'd been back and quick, either one of them, I don't think you'd have made a deal like this. But I think they're taking it for granted that they're out for a little bit of time now. So let's go get this goaltender that can play a lot of games. So I think it's Mrazek's team right now, and how he plays will determine what happens in the future. You get those goalies back and get them healthy, that's great. You become a team with an abundance of riches in net. But right now they don't have an abundance of riches. They got a goaltender coming from Detroit, and it's going to be his team to lead them. So I think they'll be playing really well in front of them. They want to give them a good start. They want to get them confident, and the team wants to continue playing the way they're playing.
Barry Melrose is with us here on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline as the Flyers play tonight. We'll have that game for you, 7 o'clock on 97.3 ESPN. Barry, with the goaltenders they had, Neuvert and Elliott, you said any team in the East can win this thing, but did you look at them as a legitimate Stanley Cup team, and do you still view them the same with Petr Mrazek?
Well, I personally believe they're better with Petr Mrazek right now. I think he's an excellent goaltender. I think you'll see, just like you're talking about, that when the quality of the shots go down, the number of shots go down, his numbers will go up. His goaltending numbers, the goals against, the save percentage will go up. So, I think it was a really smart move. And again, it'll get the team fired up. The worst thing is a team sitting there that you're good, and the goaltending struggles. You can't win in the NHL with average goaltending. You got to have great goaltending. And, Mrazek has been that at times. He has to get more consistent. But again, I think the style of play that the Flyers have right now will give him that confidence to be the goaltender he has been at times in his career. So, like I said, it's a can't lose for the Philadelphia Flyers. He comes in, plays well, gets him into the playoffs. Elliott come back, regains the number one form that he had before he got hurt, and all of a sudden you're a team with excellent goaltending. So, like I said, I like what Philly did, and I like the fact it was made quickly.
Yeah, they make the move last night. Alex Lyon will start tonight versus Montreal, and then presumably Petr Mrazek will play on Thursday. What has changed with this team? When you look at all of a sudden they're 30-19, they're 22-7 since that 10-game losing streak. When there were loud, boisterous fire Hakstol chants in that building. What has changed around this team from I guess around Christmas time?
Well, let's give Hakstol some credit. That was a turning point in the year. He could have panicked. He could have, did some things that were wrong, made some moves that were wrong, and he just stayed the course. He knew he had a good team. He knew that what he was doing was right. The young guys started playing better and better, and all of a sudden they become a really good hockey team, and they're on a roll right now. Bad play is contagious, good play is contagious, and right now they got a lot of good play out there, and everyone's riding the wave. One night, Giroux scores a goal or two. The next night, Couturier scores a goal or two. The next night, Konechny has a great game and gets 3 points. So, defensively, they're very good defensively. They got a group back there that can skate, can move the puck. Their special teams have been good. And again, you just have to look at the history of the playoffs. Pittsburgh certainly is a team to beat, and they're playing great right now. But, LA has won the Cup coming in as an 8 seed. Nashville went to the Stanley Cup Finals last year. I think they were a 7 seed. So if you just make the playoffs in the NHL, you have a chance of winning. It's been proven year after year after year. And that's why when you have a chance like the Philadelphia Flyers have, you got to take it. And you can't sit by idly and twiddle your thumbs and say, geez, that's a tough break. Our goaltender got hurt. They were proactive. They went out and got a goaltender, and now they're ready to keep marching.
Barry, you mentioned Travis Konechny a minute ago, the explosion that he's had since being moved to the top line, and he's a guy that on paper, his height and his size, you might not think, boy, I don't know if that guy can make an impact, but his speed and then his heart, I mean, he doesn't seem to back down from anybody, whether the guy's bigger or not, that he goes up against. Well,
it's a great time to be a small player, and speed is everything in today's NHL. You look at Barzal, you look at Johnny Gaudreau, you look at these small forwards that are just having great years. It's nice to be 6'4", 230 pounds and can fly, but there's not a lot of those guys around. These smaller guys are very tough to play against in today's rules. They're very tough to defend because you're taking a lot of penalties on them, slashing them, hooking them, trying to slow them up, things like that. So Konechny's built for today's NHL. Gostisbehere, same thing. Not a big, giant defenseman, but boy, unbelievable skater. These guys are really tough to play against right now. And Philly, has realized that. They've changed the way the Flyers are built. The Flyers used to be a big team, a slow team, a team that relied on intimidation and physical play. And now they realize that the game is all about speed and puck movement and using their speed defensively as well as offensively. So it's just a case where smaller players now can come in and be impact players. We see it all over the NHL every night.
And Gostisbehere, a guy you would agree, Barry, I'm sure that's benefited from playing with Ivan Provorov, who never seems to make a mistake.
Yeah, it's the Flyers are getting that group now where they've got a group where the fifth and sixth pair are good players. The third unit is a good defensive pair, and then you move the young superstars in there, Gostisbehere, Provolov, guys like that, and all of a sudden this is how you build teams that win championships. You build them with defense, you build them up the middle of the team with centermen, and Philly's always been a hard-working team, so. They're built for today's NHL, and that's taken a couple of years to get it done, but now they're reaping the benefits of those changes.
Barry Melrose here on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. You just said centerman, and, how about the job that Couturier has done and how far he's come from being kind of a mucker grinder guy to all of a sudden becoming, a frontline scorer for this team. And then Giroux accepting to go move to the left wing has really kind of been a key story to this season, too.
Well, if you look at Giroux's past, even in junior, he was a winger. He got put to center as a Flyer, and he was still a great player. Claude Giroux is a great player, but I think the wing is a perfect spot for him, and they had to find a centerman who could play with him, and Couturier was that guy. And I think a lot of times you get what you expect. I think for a while they expected Couturier to be a good, serviceable third-line center. Every once in a while, boost him up to the second line, a guy that can score 15 to 20 goals a year, very good defensively. But all of a sudden, you put him with Drew, and you're starting to think, this guy, we can get some offense out of this guy too. Not only is he still a good defensive centerman, Norris, or a guy that could, win that Selke award for the best defensive forward, but also a guy that can put the puck in the net. He was a guy in junior that could score and score big. So I think they started expecting him to be more offensive, and he started putting that in his mindset that, you're right, I don't have to just dump the puck in every time. I can try and beat that guy. I can take it to the net, things like that. So he started thinking much more offensive also, and we're starting to see the numbers build up. The guy's been great. He's been as good a forward as has been in the NHL this year. He's just been fantastic.
Well, we know the Flyers have an influx of young defensemen. This team is, right now third in the Metro. So should Ron Hextall sit on his hands with this bunch, or do you think they need to add something else before the 26th?
I think Ron has targeted some areas they'd like to get better. I think the problem is there's 25 other teams in the NHL that are thinking the same as him, and they all want the same thing. They want a veteran defenseman. They want some forwards at maybe a third line center, some forwards that come in and play some minutes. But everybody's looking for that. So I think Ron's out there looking. I think every other GM of teams that have a chance of making the playoffs are out there looking. And if he can see a deal that it makes a team better, he'll certainly jump on it. But the problem is there's a bunch of other teams looking for the exact same thing that Philadelphia Flyers are looking for.
Barry Melrose with us here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Barry, when Mike was asking about Giroux moving from center to left wing, part of the reason for that is the Flyers were so deep at the center position. And I do want to ask you about the number 2 overall pick last year, and that's Nolan Patrick, who I believe had a concussion and struggled a little bit trying to come back from that, but he's now starting to find his feet. What have you seen out of Nolan Patrick? The number 2 pick gets such attention thrust on him, but is he where the Flyers think he would be at this point?
I think he's getting there. I think you see progress all the time when you watch the Flyers play. He's got the puck a lot more. He's starting to get some points. He's starting to carry the puck with confidence. He's starting to make plays with confidence. The guy's only 19 years old. It's a tough situation, and I think the Flyers made the decision to keep him and play him, and they've done that, and now they're starting to see the rewards. He's getting better every game. So, that's part of it, too, is letting players mature and not ruin them by putting them into situations that they can't handle. And I think the Flyers handled him very well. Didn't play him a ton, but they put him in situations where he could succeed. And all of a sudden those things start happening. The puck starts going in. He starts making plays. And now the Flyers have got a big, great skating, very talented number 2 centerman in the lineup, and he'll be there for the next 10, 12, 15 years.
Did you see the joke that Voracek said now they're going to go out and sign Yager too so they can get more check heavy?
If Ronnie Hextall thought that Jaromir Jagr could help the Philadelphia Flyers, he would go out and get Jaromir Jagr. I have no doubt about that.
Barry Melrose is with us. And just, you look on the Eastern Conference side, the Rangers, do you think we'll see Lundqvist moved here? Because they've kind of said, hey, we're throwing up the white flag.
Yeah, that was a good little genius move Glenn Sather did, right?
I think the only way Lundqvist could ever be moved would be a deal that, the Rangers could sell to their fan base. He is, it's been a tough year for the Rangers. Is McDonough going to be moved? Who's going to be moved? They got some guys there that are coming to end of contracts are not going to make the playoffs. So I think there will be a lot of movement with the Flyers. But anybody that gets Lundqvist would have to make such a deal that would just blow the Rangers out of the water, and they could take it to their fan base and see we had to do it. Henrik didn't want to move. We didn't want to move him, but it was just a deal that was too good to pass up. I don't think those deals are out there. I think Henrik Lundqvist will finish the year as a New York Ranger and probably play with the Rangers for a few more years.
All right, a couple quickies here for Barry Melrose around the league. We know Vegas has been a great story, but are they going to run out of steam, or are they for real?
They're for real. Even last night, they lose a game to a Ducks team that is playing great right now, and it was 2-0, and they could have easily won. So this is a good hockey club. Jerry Gallant, the management team, has built a really good, solid team. They're going to have 5 guys with over 20 goals. That's pretty good for an expansion team. Goaltending has been great. Fleury's been fantastic. Defensively, they're rock solid. They're a real good skating club. Everybody that you talk to that plays them say, geez, I never realized they skate that well. I didn't know that they were that quick. So they're for real. This team is going to make the playoffs, and they're going to be a player in the playoffs. This is not a one-and-done team. This team, and again, they've got veteran players. They're not young guys. They're veteran players. Neil has been through the battles. Fleury's been through the battles. They've got guys that have played deep into the playoffs that'll help the guys that haven't been in the playoffs a lot. So this team ain't going anywhere. It's going to be a tough matchup.
Philly just won there in Vegas, which has not been easy. They've only lost there 5 times all year long. They have the most points in the league. Tampa has the most points in the East. Are they your favorite in the East?
They were until about a month ago. Pittsburgh looks great right now. The 3 superstars are unbelievable. Crosby, Malkin, Kessel. They're scoring. They've got the puck possession time is fantastic. Murray's been great in net. Defensively, they're looking awesome. So Tampa, Pittsburgh. It's basically a pick 'em between those 2 teams. I love Tampa. I love the speed they play on. They have so many weapons. They could be a player at the deadline trying to get a little deeper. And again, even if you don't make the deal, if you're a team like Tampa, maybe you'll make the cost so high that a team like Washington goes out and gets somebody that it doesn't help the team as much because you've had to give up something off your team to get this guy. So that's why even teams that like Tampa, like other teams that are in it, will be players just to drive up the price if they don't get the player themselves.
At NHL Barry Melrose on Twitter, he appeared via the Boardwalk Honda hotline. ESPN's NHL hockey analyst says they did a lot of hockey on the SportsCenter edition last night.
They could never do enough as far as I'm concerned.
Hey, there's going to be a lot more tonight. Me and Levy are doing the midnight to 1 o'clock SportsCenter. So
nice.
We're gonna have a fun time doing that. Hockey all night long on SportsCenter.
All right, Barry. Appreciate it,
pal.
pal.
Thank you, Barry.
Thanks, guys. Take care.